I just had to throw that out there. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another movie review, and this time I'm going to do a review of probably one of the most famous haunted house movies that has dealt with one of the most famous, that is based on one of the most famous haunted houses in history, and this is, of course, the Amityville Horror. Amityville Horror is a horror, supernatural slash ghost story film that came out back in 1979 by director Stuart Rosenberg. Yeah, sorry, name kind of slipped me there for a second. And basically, this movie is what it is. I mean, it's based on probably, like I said, the house in Amityville that is, yeah. George and Kathy Lutz are a recently married couple that have just decided to move into a Long Island colonial house in the town of Amityville, obviously. It seems like the perfect house for them, but of course, unfortunately, the terror begins almost immediately when George begins to develop anger problems. A priest, played by Rod Steiger, shows up in the house to try to bless it, only to be basically told to leave, and of course, flies in the window start to show up, and he basically is forced out of the house. Anybody with religious connections basically are forced away, and yep, as the days go on, the tensions begin to rise, and George begins to exhibit feelings of anger, and their daughter begins to have a new friend of theirs that basically forces anybody away that doesn't want to be friends with them. So you know the drill. It's a haunted house, and they're trying to figure out what's going on before the family ends up getting torn apart forever. Since the movie is based on truth, and however you want to believe it in, because the movie was actually based on a real life murder spree where a man actually killed 6 members of his own family before being locked up, and he's basically been locked up ever since. Actually, back in 2021, the guy recently just passed away. So the movie is based on some truth, and also is based on there's a book of the same name by Jay Anson, who wrote I'm assuming obviously wrote about the actual events that occurred inside the house when it actually happened. I wish there was more to say about it, but I mean, honestly, the documentaries and stuff that are included on the DVD and the and whatnot will probably explain it more. I really wish I should have sat down and watched them, but still, it's rather interesting that a movie like this actually got made. When it got released initially in 1979. The movie actually was a unexpected hit when it debuted. Theatrically, it was. I mean, financially, it was. It ended up becoming the year's second highest grossing film of 1979. And at the time, it actually, according to what I found online, it actually dethroned Halloween as the highest grossing independent horror film ever in history at the time, before no doubt many others had arrived after that. But unfortunately, the movie was not met with the greatest of critical reception. It was mostly negative. As of today, it currently has a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is crazy to think, since Amityville Horror is really probably one of the most famous horror films of its kind. And it's still one of the creepiest movies definitely one of the creepiest films I've ever seen, since it definitely has some of the absolute scariest movie moments. Who could forget the infamous "get out" moment when the priest was told by the entity in the house to get out? Also, there's many others. The babysitter getting locked in the closet. The kid nearly losing his hand by a window pane. Kathy, played by Margot Kidder, getting the scare of a lifetime when she sees like something staring out of the window back at her. Oh yeah, and who could forget that moment where they find that room in the basement? You know what I'm talking about if anybody had seen the movie, but I don't want to spoil it because I just mentioned some of the very few scares, but still, they're very effective in the movie, not going to lie. But without a doubt, the movie, despite getting like I said, it only has a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is crazy considering, the popularity of this movie, but over time, the movie has gotten a stronger following, and it's regularly seen as as a horror classic in every way, and it is. It rightfully deserves that. It rightfully deserves that praise. Despite the negative reception by critics, the film did manage to snag an Academy Award nomination, being nominated for Best Original Score by Lalo Schifrin, who Lalo Schifrin is probably best known for scoring films like Dirty Harry, Enter the Dragon. He scored nearly all of the Dirty Harry movies, and many, many others. But yeah, Amityville Horror is one of so yeah. Well, might as well go ahead and talk about. Did he get nominated? I think it was nominated for Best Horror Film at the Saturns, but I know Margot Kidder definitely got nominated for Best Actress. That could also be one of the things that led to the film's success, is possibly the star power, because Margot Kidder, who had just come off of doing Superman at the time, and James Brolin, who, by the way, his son Josh would go on to become a successful actor himself. Murray Hamilton, who played the mayor in Jaws, also plays a character that's just about the same as his mayor role in Jaws, where he plays a man who is basically kind of, not wanting to believe what is really going on. So you could say he plays sort of a similar character here than he did in Jaws. So might as well talk about the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray I have here is the original initial release by MGM, so I am aware that there are other versions available. I know Shout Factory did a Blu-ray release of the first 3 Amityville films. Yeah, Amityville Horror ended up having because of the huge success of this movie, it had a bunch of sequels made, which, to be honest, I've really never seen any of them. I think I've only seen bits and pieces of the second one, but that's about it. Yeah, honestly, I would just say when it comes to sequels, I could say you should just stick with the original. The second film is really not much of a sequel. It's more of a prequel, because the second film is really about, the events that occurred in the house before the Lutz family showed up in the original film. So it basically lays out the events of what happened, more or less. But anyway, inside the Blu-ray case here, I actually have 3 discs. Here's the Blu-ray of the movie, which, by the way, the MGM release you can get pretty cheap on anywhere. I bought it for like $6 at the Sam Goodies, which, by the way, is I'm actually nearby one of only 2 Sam Goodies still in existence in the U.S. One of them being here in Ohio, the other over in California, I believe. So yeah, there's the Blu-ray. Honestly, for an MGM release, it's still a pretty solid version of the film. It still has a really good picture quality and audio. I'm impressed. So, yeah, I know. And also, the other release was by Vinegar Syndrome, which they released it in 4K, I believe. But the MGM Blu-ray, a lot of the older MGM Blu-ray releases are kind of not so great. Like, I know RoboCop and Carrie are 2 that where the original releases are not that great. But the MGM version for Amityville Horror, I'm impressed with how well it looks. It looks beautiful. A lot of detail, a lot of stuff and even the DVD version had a pretty good transfer itself. So, which I still have, by the way. I would say out of 5 stars for the video for Amityville Horror, I would probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. That's how good this actually looks. A lot of great detail to be seen in here. As for the audio, once again, it sounds just as good. This is a horror film, so you want it to be loud, so the scares come out very well. And believe me, there are a lot of great scares to be seen in this movie. So the sound effects are great, the dialogue comes out very well. So once again, I would say the audio is just as good as the video is. I would say out of 5 stars, 4.5. Same thing. As for the bonus features, this is where the Blu-ray kind of falls apart, because unfortunately, for bonuses, all you get is just the theatrical trailer. That's all there is. The audio, which is nice, because at least for the audio, you can get the original English mono track as well. There's actually more audio tracks to choose from on the Blu-ray than there are on the DVD, so way more. For the bonus features, Amityville Horror, the MGM Blu-ray, all it gets is a trailer, and a bunch of other trailers for other films. So that's why I honestly had to hold on to the DVD copy here, because the DVD actually has bonus features on it. Yeah, I still have the case here, so this is so what's on here is basically what's included on the DVD is an audio commentary by Dr. Hans Holzer, a PhD in parapsychology. Basically, he talks a lot about the experiences that occurred. I mean, obviously about the movie itself, but also about the events that took place that the movie was based on. There's also a documentary called For God's Sake, Get Out, which is a comprehensive look at the movie. There's also some radio spots, the original theatrical trailer. And I also have in here another disc, another DVD, which is the bonus disc for anybody that bought the Amityville collection on DVD, which also, I believe, came with the first 3 movies, plus a bonus disc with extra material on the making of the film. Yeah. Basically, all that's included on here, there's only a couple of things. There's a 5-minute promo featurette about the 2005 remake of the Amityville Horror, which I have seen, but I know very little about since it's been a while since I've seen it. And there's 2 History Channel documentaries about the Amityville house itself, and they both go into amazing detail about the history of the Amityville house, the hauntings, the multiple murders that occurred. Yeah, literally. Both documentaries run about 40 minutes apiece, so honestly, they're both well worth looking into if you literally need to know anything about the Amityville house. But of course, obviously, when it comes to the Blu-ray release, I mean, there obviously are better versions to pick from. If anybody is able to get their hands on the Shout Factory box set, I'd say you can go for that one. Or if you want to get the Vinegar Syndrome edition, it's totally up to you. But both of those are a bit pricey. The Shout Factory set, you're going to be looking to pay probably about close to $80 for the whole thing. For the Vinegar Syndrome edition, you probably have to go to their website to pick it up, or if you can find it on Amazon or eBay or any other selling website, you're probably going to be looking for to be paying close to $25 or maybe $30 for the Vinegar Syndrome edition. But for the MGM Blu-ray, like I said, I bought it at a store for $6, and MGM Blu-ray you can get pretty cheap online. But the only thing that's annoying is that the Blu-ray has only a trailer for bonus features. But nonetheless, though, the original MGM release still looks pretty darn good on Blu-ray. Like I said, the video and audio are both spectacular for a release like this. I mean, I'm surprised. MGM actually made a pretty decent release for this movie, but if only they included bonus features like they did on their DVD version, that would have been great. That would have made this disc an even better seller, but yeah, like I said, kind of disappointing. All they put on there is a trailer. But hey, look at many of the 4K releases. Many 4K releases don't have many extras on theirs. All their stuff is only put on a dedicated second disc, which is normally a Blu-ray, which has all the stuff on them. But there are a few 4K releases that do put bonus features on their discs. Very few. I mean, aside from commentaries and stuff like that. I mean, most of the time, all the 4K releases usually get is the commentaries. Like any of the behind-the-scenes stuff will normally be put on a regular Blu-ray. But there are a few 4K releases where they actually put the behind-the-scenes stuff on the 4K release. But honestly, just with the regular Blu-ray, this one still impresses me. I'm amazed. So, like I said, if you can get your hands on, if you haven't seen Amityville Horror, if you're really into horror films, if you're really into haunted houses, this is actually a good one to check out. And honestly, this would actually make a good, strong recommendation for being a first-time horror film for anybody that wants to become a fan of horror themselves. This is actually a good one to start off with. I mean, it's got some good scares. When it comes to the graphic, there's really not much graphic violence in the movie. There's only maybe one or two like scenes that'll make you want to cringe, but other than that, this is actually a strong recommendation for anybody wanting to get into the world of horror. So, this is actually one I would highly recommend. And I think it's better than what most critics made it out to be. Unfortunately, I forgot to give a rating for the extras. I would say probably 0.5 out of 5 for the trailer. But like I said, for these 2 DVDs here, for the bonus features on the for the DVD version, I would probably give the extras on the DVD probably a 3.5. For the confidential bonus disc, I would probably bump the rating up to a 4 for what's in here. But like I said, these DVDs are available separately, so. But the stuff that's included on both of them is great. So, I mean, do I have any intention of buying any of the other versions? Probably not. I mean, I'm perfectly happy with what I got here, and the first movie alone is probably the only one worth seeing. The sequels, I would say that's totally up to you. The 2005 remake, once again, that's totally up to you if you want to see it, but for my money, when it comes to Amityville Horror, I would say just stick with the original. So, like I said, the Blu-ray is a top-notch disc. Video and audio are both spectacular. Unfortunately, there's no extras, so you'll have to hold on to a DVD copy, or if you have any of the previous DVD editions that have the bonus features on them, hold on to those. Or unless you want to shell out the money to get the Shout Factory box set, or get the Vinegar Syndrome edition. So either way, I would strongly suggest checking this movie out. Definitely give it a watch. Well worth it. So, this concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I will continue to do more of these in the days to come, so until then, take care and be safe. Oh, Mother of God, I'm coming apart!